think it's time. We out here killing each other. I think it's time for this. So everybody on my Facebook Live, I'm with this.
We need a black man in Memphis, Tennessee. What you're seeing is the man of God.
When the trumpet sound or the prophet start, we touch it down on every corner. Late night and early morning with 100 scriptures for a damn scorner. After class, we ain't tired yet, watch us roll out like a transformer. Bill Street, here we go again, down in Memphis 10 where we getting it in. Prophesying till we get the win, prophesying till the kingdom won. Ghost rider when I'm here, can't word of God, fire coming on my tongue. 30 days, we ain't misses none, hitting every city and everywhere. In the winter, we don't give a curve when they call for duty St. Louis Thunder.
This a call for the just. Time running out, going in the clutch. Ain't nobody else going harder than us. Can't stop, won't stop like a bomb on a bus. Speed. Yeah, pedal to the floor, it don't matter where we go. The word going out, yeah, we gotta let them know if it's a one-way trip, then it's how I gotta go. We put our life on the line. No, you can't break through this line. This for the deaf and the blind. We can't be wasting no time. You better make up your mind. We stay on the grind. We on go while you stalling. Gotta make sure of my calling. We won't lose. Yeah, I know they wanna kill us when they see us, but they really wanna be us cause we do what they don't do. We just do what we supposed to. You can hate if you want to. We produce more fruit like Whole Foods. Yeah, the end we be close to. Many call, but he chose few. From city to city, we making moves. Hit the streets, then we breaking tools. Scripts kicking like taking tools. So much purpose, we make the news. Repent or die, we don't make the rules.
Blitz, yeah. Me on fish, so a net catch 153 big fish. If it meals don't turn around, they necktie still tryna see did it sink that quick. Be a street bullet, stronghold, pull it down, boost to the ground. Ranks getting forward. Enemy at home, sleep what you in this for, cause it ain't no peace till we win this war.
Welcome to the Lion's Den. Fix your face, you OKC, we on the rise again. We in the scripts and in them streets, the section doctrine saying. Hidden history, we teach rebuilding lives again. Love. It's hammer time if you ain't know enough. This the book of our fathers, and yeah, we keep it opened up. I like shine like Bruce Lee, Roy, and show enough. Come up to the prophets correct or get cold cut. Them cold cuts.
So if you at home sleep, what you in this for? See, it ain't no peace, so you in this war. 6 tied, these dead bodies scattered on the floor. Got enough dead brothers, I don't want no more. That's a parable for Egypt and how it all relates back to Memphis. That's why you see the prophets out blitzing with no intermission. IUIC on the mission, so start what you're doing, just listen. Don't come to pay attention. Don't be confused when you catch on the street with a meat that was sin because the Lord seek vengeance. They're still waking up the valley of the dry bones. We the real Jews coming straight out the trenches. It's a hard knock life, but we out here when to just keep the command, stop sinning. Only fear was chosen, but when the Lord called,
gotta fight this fight, gotta win this war. When I swing this hammer, gonna hit like Thor. Better get your camera to hit record, cause it ain't for glamour when I lift this war. This a Memphis bitch, you can get hit quick. We avengers for the nations, dodging the fiery dots of Satan like a ninja in the Matrix. I walk the walk, I talk the talk like Devo, I'm a bullet. Like a lasso stretch, I'ma cast the net, find Nemos, and I pull it. I walk the walk, I talk the talk like Devo, I'm a bullet. Like a lasso stretch, I'ma cast the net, find Nemos, and I pull it.
No, we not like you, we different disciples. It's not in the Bible, we don't entertain. Not here to fight with you, nor to be tight with you. See that we blitzing, no need to explain. We don't dislike you, we just don't align with you. Tend to your business, acknowledge our lane. Can two walk together unless they agree? When you get this meaning, then you do the same. We out here to wake up our people, don't play with no evil. That don't compute with our brains. We focus on feeding our family these scripts. If this ain't your focus, then we ain't the same. I keep it 180%. You know the kid out here bringing this change. It ain't to diminish the work that y'all do, but you must repent if you seek to be saved.
2020 blitz, me on fish, so a net catch 153 big fish. If it meals don't turn around, they necktie still tryna see did it sink that quick. Be a street bullet, stronghold, pull it down, boost to the ground. Ranks getting forward. Enemy at home, sleep what you in this for, cause it ain't no peace till we win this war. 2020 blitz, me on fish, so a net catch 153 big fish. If it meals don't turn around, they necktie still tryna see did it sink that quick. Be a street bullet, stronghold, pull.
Test, Israel, can you hear us? How's the sound? Test. How's the sound? Test.
Power hour. It's the what? Power hour. It's the who? Power hour. Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour. It's the what? Power hour. It's the who? Power hour. Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and every Saturday morning you need to be tuning in. Wake up, get crust out your eyes. We about to go live, so come get the schooling in. About our oppression, we answer the questions like how do we get out this lower state? We let the scripts prophesy. We bringing the Bible to life so that you relate. The world thinks we're rejects, but that word we reject. Watch and we'll show you. Precept upon precept, line upon line, the scripts say we're the greatest, and they can't debate it. Salvation is only for the blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour, it's the what? Power hour, it's the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour, it's the what? Power hour, it's the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour, it's the what? Power hour, it's the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour, it's the what? Power hour, it's the who? Power hour, yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and
Shalom. Welcome to the Power Hour Plus. I'm Captain Yashua.
Good evening, Captain Aparium.
Hey, shalom, Most High in Christ bless, Captain Amariah.
Shalom, Officer Isaac.
Shalom. All praise to the Most High for those of you that stuck with us, all right?
Right.
We're still going to try to get in some of our topic today. It's because it's Wednesday, it's the plus edition, but we're not going to be able to get the full 2
It's
hours
the minus
in tonight.
edition now.
Right?
It's the Power Hour minus.
Right. So, but all praises, we got it fixed. Lord's will is fixed.
Yes, sir.
From here on out.
Yes, sir.
All right. So.
Yeah, like this Sabbath.
Yeah. Let's make sure it's good. It's good for because we also have the Saturday edition at 11 a.m. Arizona time. But all praises. Thank y'all for sticking with us. It's appreciated that y'all want to get these classes. So let me jump right in since we cut into time. So last week we were talking about Operation Bootstrap. Okay, we were talking about we were supposed to get more into Vieques, right, and talk about what went on there. So today we'll probably get on that. I don't know how much we'll get into the other stuff that we were going to talk about as far as Denizens and the illusion of inclusion. With that being said, if we can't get to it, that'll be for next week's show. But we're going to carry off with the Vieques breakdown that we were going into, all right? So I'm going to jump right into the book. Okay. Let me get back into my book here. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Bro, he really just helped it. Oh, gosh, never mind.
You're struggling.
This dude spotted you on lifting your book up.
I feel like I was too late, though. Like, he was struggling. I just barely touched it.
I'm pinkies, bro. I'm pinkies. Dude, bro, that's hilarious.
You just tap it.
Right?
It was all you, Cap.
Get past that sticking point.
It's all mental.
All right, so we're going to go to that where it says it all came to the end with the Korean War. All right, we're going to go right there. I think that's where I'm going to go. Let me see. Is there anything over here? Yeah, no, the other part is going into the Denizens stuff. All right, so, yep, you had it right there. There we go. All right. So last week we started to talk about Vieques, which let's talk about it real quick. Actually, before we go to the book, let's go to the Wikipedia Vieques, Puerto Rico. Nope, not that article. There we go. So Vieques, for those who don't know, is Isla de Vieques, is an island municipality of Puerto Rico in the Northeast Caribbean, part of an island grouping sometimes known as the Spanish Virgin Islands. Vieques is part of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, meaning the Commonwealth is a politically correct way to say the colony. Mm-hmm. All right. It's the colony of Puerto Rico and retains strong influences from 400 years of Spanish presence in the island. You know what's interesting when they talk about that? Remember, like, we're in our state of sleep, we think we're Spanish.
Right.
So it says that Puerto Rico retains influences from 400 years of Spanish presence in the island, not that it's a Spanish place.
That's right.
Right? And that's something that needs to be understood because prior to them coming there, historians documented us as native indigenous. All right? We were native indigenous.
But hold on, Cap, because the people that live in Spain are Spaniards.
Yep.
They call us Spanish.
Yep.
The same way they call the Caucasians Jewish.
Right.
All right. So the suffix,
like a Spaniard,
ish means to have the characteristics of.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. So they even letting you know you're not Spaniard. I wonder who used to run around saying that. Hey, in my ignorance, I used to be like, yes, I'm Puerto Rican, but Spaniard blooded me. Like it was a proud thing, you know.
You know, real quick, I worked with a dude that was like really from Spain. Like back when I worked at Carvel. He was really from Spain, and even then, I saw a difference.
Oh yeah, it's definitely.
You know what I mean? And he was red, hairy, like the whole thing. But back then, I didn't,
Hey, I'll tell you something straight. For the most part, the Spaniard people that I've come across, and I'll say Spaniard, not Spanish, because they're Spaniard, they actually even look and act very prototypical.
Absolutely,
Spaniard.
Yep.
You know, like I've said, I had one in my dental hygiene class, and she was a dentist from Spain. And now thinking about it as you wrote about it, saying the differences, it was very different, right? Even though she spoke Spanish with us and all this other stuff, it was a different vibe, you know. And her characteristics were very Spaniard-like, very Spaniard-like.
Spiritual, man.
Yep.
Very spiritual.
Yep. We good? Yeah? Okay. All right. I saw the door open. I said, wait a second.
I saw the door open. I heard.
I know. We should be happy to see him. I saw the door open and he came in. I went, what happened?
What now?
The show's messed up again. What is going on? Oh, man. So, Vieques, let me go back. So, Vieques, it's a Spanish island, all right? And that part there where it says it retains strong influences from 400 years of Spanish presence in the island, right? They call it Spanish, but it's Spaniard presence in the island, letting you know where all the language, that aspects of the culture comes from your oppressors, right? So Vieques lies about 8 miles east of the Puerto Rican mainland and measures about 20 miles long by 4.5 miles wide. Its most populated barrio is Isabel Segunda, sometimes written Isabel II. I believe that's named after Queen Isabel of Spain.
It is.
Yes. So the administrative center on the northern side. The population of Vieques was 9,301 at the 2010 census. The island's name is a Spanish spelling of a Native American, likely Taíno word, said to mean small island. It also has the nickname Isla Nena, usually translated as Little Girl Island, alluding to its perception as Puerto Rico's little sister. The island was given this name by the Puerto Rican poet Luis Lorenz Torres. During the colonial period, the British name was Crab Island. All right. So Vieques, for those who do know about it, is best known internationally as the site of a series of protests against the United States Navy. I remember this when this was going on in the early 2000s. It was protests against the United States Navy use of the island as a bombing range and testing ground, which led to the Navy's departure in 2003. Now, we went over last week and we spoke about the different bases and how they had such a strong show of force in Puerto Rico as they were really trying to subjugate the people there for a time physically with their shock and awe appearances. And then once they did a number on us, right, and, I was hoping to get to some of that today with the Denizens and how their crafty council went through that. We'll see how much we can get through. We'll see how it goes. I wanted to talk about that today. If not, Laws Will Life Last, we'll bring it up next week. They started to deploy different tactics, right? So we spoke last week largely about Operation Bootstrap and the economical impact and how it's still very much a industrial economy in a world that is really a knowledge-based economy, or rather the ones that are going to actually be in the top echelon of countries. You have to be in a knowledge-based economy. It's crazy because even though it's part of the United States, it's basically treated very much as a foreign country as far as the United States policy is concerned. Mm-hmm. And where, as a matter of fact, I would have to look it up to do the research, but I would not be surprised. I would gander to guess that with certain foreign aid packages and things like that, the United States probably treats foreign countries better than it does Puerto Rico at this point and its possession. So you had these protests there on the island because what the Navy was doing there. They made it a refuge, right? And there's some contamination there, right? Now, notice they don't talk too much about it's hard to find the stuff where they talk about the cancer and things like that and the radiation. They try to claim that they didn't do nuclear stuff there, but you know, the devil's a liar, right? So you don't trust anything they say. So it says, today the former Navy land is a national wildlife refuge. Some of it is open to the public, but much remains closed off due to contamination and or unexploded ordnance that the military is slowly cleaning up, right? So chemical contamination, you know, unexploded ordnance that they have there. Some of the most beautiful beaches on the islands are on the eastern end of the island, formerly the Marine base, and the Navy named Red Beach, Blue Beach, etc. Now called Playa Caracas, Pata Prieta, Playa La Chiva, and Playa Plata. At the far western tip, formerly the Navy base, is Punta Arenas, which the Navy named Green Beach. The beaches are commonly listed among the top beaches in the Caribbean for their azure waters and white sands. And it is a beautiful place. And when you read that, you think about the prophecies, about the blessings from the deep and from the dew and all of that. In regards to Ephraim in Genesis 49, and you read about that. So go to the little map so they can get a visual of where it's at. Right, there we go. So that's the Puerto Rican, the big island, right? And the little sister island is Vieques, highlighted in red. All right, you're going to open it up. That little sister island is Vieques, highlighted in red. And then the one a little above it is Culebra. That's another little island there. That's like a small little population. Beautiful beaches on that one. I've never been to Vieques. I've been to Culebra. And that's Puerto Rico. So Vieques, it's not small by any measure. Like, even Puerto Rico is pretty large, right? Even though in the bigger scheme of the United States and things like that, it's a smaller island. But it's not small. You know, remember, we just read it's 20.5 miles long by 4.5 miles wide. That's good ground for them to test and do different things on there with, you know, and it's not too far off from the mainland. So when you talk about exposure to radiation and contamination, it's not far-fetched to see how it would meet, and I say mainland, but the big island, how that stuff would reach there.
No, it won't, because the hurricanes go from right to left if you're looking at the If you're looking at it right to left, so they get the upwind.
Yep, exactly.
So it goes through all of that, so you know they're getting all that.
Yep, exactly. Right. As you're facing it, they come in right off the Atlantic that way. That's what Cap's talking about. Yep, and they go in that direction that the little mouse is going, all right? So all that fallout, all that contamination gets blown in when those hurricanes come in. So let's go back to the book as we talk about this, all right? Let's go back to that page. So now we have a little context for Vieques, all right? So we can talk about some of the atrocities that were done there. All right, so it says it all came to an end with the Korean War. And prior to this, I'll see, it might be something for a future show to talk about the, they call him the, he was like the American James Bond. Man, it's such a crafty setup they had on the island. This guy owned like a little bar, and he was basically, like, he would fight the FBI and everything when they came in there, but it was all a show, because he was gathering intel at the little bar that was there, right? And when they started doing their big training operation, and they used Vieques for it to train for the Korean War, that's what we're going to read, right? His cover was blown because he was leading the insurgency. So it all came to an end with the Korean War. As of 1941, the United States had occupied Vieques Island, an 84 square mile island, 8 miles east of the Puerto Rican mainland, for military exercises, as a firing range, and as ground for testing new bombs and missiles. That means experimental devices were used in close proximity. You're talking about, this wasn't like, you know, Area 51 or whatever, and it's like a lot of dead space around there. There were people, there were you know, fishermen, towns and villages, and people living on the island. Not just on Vieques, they got the brunt of it, but even off of what they call mainland Puerto Rico would be impacted by this as well.
That don't even make any sense.
What's that?
That they dropping missiles that people are living there.
Right. That's well, to normal people who are not crooked. Remember, the most I made them crooked was crooked cannot be made straight.
Yeah, right.
It makes perfect sense to them, but you're right. Like, how do you do that? That's like, hey, let me test this.
No, because it's 20 miles, which, in comparison to a bomb, that's
nothing.
Right.
There's nothing.
How did you? They had to have killed people. I guess what I'm saying is that some people had to have get bombed.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that you don't hear about that they probably covered up. That whole thing that they made it a wildlife thing, that's just a sham to cover up probably the real deal of how jacked up the areas that they were using are. So it says every year the Army detonated an average of 5 million pounds of ordnance on the island. 5 million pounds of bombs of different ordnance every year. Every year from 1941 until they left in 2003.
Wait, that's just detonate. That's not even the bombs. That's just stuff on the ground.
Yes. Yeah, right. 5 million pounds of ordnance on the island, particularly on its beaches. Hey, I'll be straight. The reason I went to Culebra when I went there, now Vieques, was because I said, damn, Vieques is probably jacked up. I don't want to get irradiated over there. So I don't know about this. So let's go to the next page, 155. Okay. On March 8th, 1950, the United States attacked Vieques with all of its armed forces. This is a training exercise. This is why it says attacked in quotations. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. The 80,000 men involved included infantry, airborne paratroopers, frogmen, undercover agents, and guerrillas. The 3-day assault required 2 months of planning, meaning this was a full-on war game. This wasn't like with airsoft guns and stuff like that. They were like really detonating bombs, simulating this thing, right? The 3-day assault required 2 months of planning. It was the largest war game in U.S. history. A dress rehearsal for the Korean War known as Operation Portrex, all right? I couldn't find too much about this.
Probably classified to an extent.
Right. There's some stuff on it, but nothing that was real juicy, right? Booth was called. Booth is this guy that was basically perpetrating as the bar owner while he was basically gathering intel. So, yeah, and let me tell you what's heavy about that. Like, the lengths that they'll go to when they want to stop a movement, and then people look at us sideways when we say, hey, this guy potentially was a plant, or this sister was potentially this, or this was being done because of this, that, or the other, right? And people look at, you guys think too highly of yourselves or whatever. Come on. Like, really? You've seen historically how this government has treated us, what they fear in our unity. So it says, Booth was called to lead all espionage and guerrilla activities for the 65th Infantry. You know what? I was supposed to send you this. The Puerto Rican Borinqueneers. Look up the Borinqueneers on Wikipedia, all right? And we're going to talk about them briefly. We're going to digress for a second to bring them up, all right? Who were assigned to defend the island. This would burn his cover as a civilian salon keeper, but it didn't matter. As soon as the war started, he was shipping to Korea, so he didn't care anymore. So let's talk about the Borinqueneers real quick. Pull that up. It should come up pretty quickly. You don't even got to put Puerto Rican. You could just put the Borinqueneers, and there should be, no, not Borinqueneer. Borinqueneers.
Bro, it like popped up like 4 different times. You gotta just scroll down. Bro.
Trust me, we don't own that Borinqueneer.
In like training, like things, people get hurt all the time.
65th
bro.
Infantry Regiment.
People get hurt all the time within training things. That was something that was 3 days long with 80,000 people. Bro, I mean, people of our people probably got slaughtered during that training exercise.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 80,000.
80,000.
3-day war game.
Come on, man.
Come on. Look up the 65th Infantry Regiment, all right, instead. Maybe that'll.
Reminded me of Call of Duty Nuketown, where they have the abandoned town and they just have you run through the military exercises and drop bombs at the end. But it's abandoned, though.
Okay. So, in case y'all didn't know, because, a lot of times you'll see, look, I'm trying to show you Northern Kingdom, same types of conditions, same types of curses. We were sent, we were drafted, we were enlisted, we fought in every war from the turn of the 1900s until now. We fought in every war for our oppressors.
You know what I just heard? We fought in the Civil War.
You're right.
You know what I just heard recently? That Northern Kingdom is not the Hispanics because you can go to Hispanic neighborhoods and they own stores.
Retarded.
Wait.
Nah.
So there's no black owned stores?
Right.
Who owns the building that those stores are in?
Bro.
Right.
Moron.
That's what I just heard.
So there's no black owned stores.
Who owns
So Northern Kingdom, because Northern Kingdom has a little bodega that they're renting.
Or like a little tire shop.
Or a little tire shop or mechanic.
Right. Come on, stop, bro.
Let me tell you.
Deuteronomy 28 says thy basket and thy store. So we were going to have stores.
Right.
Businesses.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Hey,
stop.
I'm going to quote Deacon Yawasop, though. You know what that is? An excuse like that, that's stagnation. Because that don't even warrant a response.
Wait, Black Wall Street wasn't stores?
Ridiculous. So the 65th Infantry Regiment, nicknamed the Borinqueneers during the Korean War, for the original Taino Indian name for Puerto Rico, Borinquen, is a Puerto Rican regiment of the United States Army. The regiment's motto is Honor et Fidelitas, Latin for honor and fidelity. The Army Appropriation Bill, created by an act of Congress on 2 March 1899, authorized the creation of the first body of native troops in Puerto Rico, right? Remember, they took over in 1898. By 1899, they were enlisting us to fight in their wars officially. Like Cap brought out, we did fight in the Civil War and things like that, but that was not an official capacity. They didn't do that until much later. On 30 June 1901, the Puerto Rico Provisional Regiment of Infantry was organized. That's what it was called originally. On 1 July 1908, Congress incorporated the regiment into the regular army as the Puerto Rico Regiment of Infantry, United States Army. On 14 May 1917, the regiment was activated and additional men were assigned, with the unit being sent to serve at Panama. Right? They put us to Panama. They were fighting over making sure they had rights to the land for what would become the Panama Canal. All right? On 4 June 1920, the regiment was renamed the 65th Infantry. During World War II, the regiment saw action throughout Europe, especially France and Germany, participating in Naples, Foggia, Rome, Arno, and Rin. Several Purple Hearts were awarded how do you say that?
Posthumously.
Posthumously. I always mess that one up. To members of the 65th Regiment. The 65th Infantry Regiment participated in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and what is known by the United States Department of Defense as the Global War on Terrorism. On 10 June 2014, the 65th Infantry was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. So this is a all Puerto Rican, so-called Puerto Rican Army regiment, all right? So they have some history and stuff here. You can, we'll read just a little bit about it so you can understand. Listen, this was something that they kind of threw us into. You're going to see how they kind of brought us to a point where they were like admiring this guy, all right? We'll see. Like I said, I'm trying to time this right. Maybe I'll talk about it. So, Puerto Ricans have participated in many of the military conflicts in which the United States has been involved. For example, they participated in the American Revolutionary War, when volunteers from Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Mexico enlisted in the Spanish Army in 1779 and fought under the command of General Bernardo de Galvez.
Wait, so they fought to free themselves from Britain?
Yes.
Yeah. We were there.
And then got enslaved right after that. We fought for our further enslavement. Mm-hmm. Yes.
They refused to let us go, boy.
We fought in the American Revolutionary War. This is correct.
So we've been fighting in every war.
Yeah.
This country founded by...
They have us fighting their wars. Yep. Gosh, I hate when that pops up. Okay. So... it says, and have continued to participate up to the present-day conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory after the 1898 Treaty of Paris, which we read about on the show a little bit, which ended the Spanish-American War. The United States appointed a military governor, and soon the United States Army established itself in San Juan.
Hey, so they wouldn't have won if we weren't with them.
Nope. No, yeah, we probably helped turn the tide for sure.
That's why they put us on there.
Yep. We added an extra layer for them, you know. So again, just there's more facets of our history that many of our Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters don't know, right? And you would expect them to know this. And then this is why it's like laughable when I hear something as silly as what you said.
Right.
For
bro, I cannot
people trying to say that it's not the Hispanics that don't fit these curses, right?
And then when it says volunteered, you gotta be even skeptical of that too. They're either voluntold or promised something that they weren't given later.
Right. And they just word it that way. Exactly. Yep. When volunteers, listen, they didn't volunteer for nothing.
There's no way.
Right? Or they were bamboozled. They probably told them, yeah, listen, fight with us and we'll free you from slavery. Yep. Just like you see in the movie The Patriot when they had the slave.
Yep.
And he was like, hey, if I fight this many more, if I serve this much more time, I get my walking papers. Right? And then, of course, right, they were like, why are you still here? You remember that scene in The Patriot? Mm-hmm. And he built his bond with the white man. So even though he was free, he put his life on the line to continue fighting for America. Get out of here.
It was that movie Glory, man. Some of them, they were mad because they weren't on the front lines.
Yep, exactly. So it says, on 2 March 1899, the Army received assignation of funds and authorization meant to formally organize troops in Puerto Rico. You got something you want to bring up?
No, sir.
Oh, you sure?
I'm sure.
You can bring it all the way out?
You good.
Oh, okay. All right. Don't be shy now. I see Paige turning over there. I see the fingers
I was
going.
thinking while you were going.
Okay, but if you got something, bring it out.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
just sit there and mute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Give me a second.
On 2 March 1899, the Army received an assignation of funds and authorization meant to formally organize troops in Puerto Rico. On 24 March 1899, the General Commander of the Puerto Rico Department, Major General Guy V. Henry, ordered the creation of the Puerto Rico Battalion of Volunteer Infantry. Notice, there they go again, calling it Volunteer Infantry. Formed by 4 companies named A through D and assigned to San Juan, Mayagüez, and Ponce, the unit was activated on 20 May 1899. Led by Major Lorenzo Davinson. Shortly afterwards, each company received additional men for a total of 112. Major Eben Swift replaced Davison as commander. I don't need to see that. Let me skip this. On July 1st. No, we don't need that. Okay, so you have history here if you want to read. That's some of the medals that they got. So Purple Hearts is like you got injured in the war for them, right? So it looks like in World War II, 90 Purple Hearts, right? There's some little history here. Oh, they talk about Operation Portrex a little bit here. Let's read that. Operation Portrex. Let's scroll down. Keep going. We just read that in the book. All right. So let's talk a little bit about that. Keep going. Keep going. Any day now. There we go. Operation Portrex. The 65th Infantry Regiment distinguished itself when the United States conducted a military exercise on the island of Vieques on the eve of the Korean War. This exercise was codenamed Operation Portrex, an acronym for Puerto Rico Exercise. The objective was to see how the combined forces of the Army, Marines, Navy, and Air Force would do as liberators of an enemy-captured territory, Vieques in this case, against the aggressors. The core of the aggressor ground forces were made up of Puerto Rican soldiers, most of who belonged to the 65th Infantry Regiment. The liberators consisted of 32,600 combat troops from the 82nd Airborne Division. So they made them the enemy, basically, in this war game. 504th Airborne Infantry Regiment, and the Marine Corps, who received support from the Navy and Air Force. Despite the large number of troops deployed, the 65th Infantry, the aggressor, was able to halt the offensive forces on the beaches of the island. Colonel William W. Harris, the commanding officer of the 65th, stated, stopping the assault forces at the water's edge proved that the Puerto Ricans could hold their own against the best trained soldiers that the United States Army could put into the field.
That's why they recruited us and all that.
The Lacedaemonians are Northern Kingdom, and I gander to say a good portion were probably Ephraim with that warrior spirit.
Hey, absolutely. And Joshua was Northern Kingdom.
Yep.
It took Jericho and everything.
Yep. People, yeah, right. People, you got to think about those things. It says this, and you know that we've been reading how they thought about us, and even though they put us in their armies, it says that the Borinqueneers were able to withstand 32,600 of every division of the military that the United States had.
It says of their best.
Of their best.
I was gonna say it sounds pretty refreshing.
Sound pretty refreshing.
I was like,
right? Oh. Yes. So, but guess what their reward was for doing that? Let's deploy these guys to Korea.
Yep. Right.
And they were like, oh, really? Oh, word? They were like, word?
You guys passed the tryouts.
They said, let's deploy these guys to Marie. Let's deploy these guys.
And put them on the front lines, just like they did in Vietnam.
Right. So, again, identify certain, because they'll say, oh, well, you guys weren't forced to fight in wars. You guys weren't forced to do these type of things. It clearly shows us there's a history there for that. Did you find what you want to bring up?
I kind of went past the point. I was thinking of how they made treaties with us. And,
okay.
Every time we made a treaty with them, they'd go against it. I thought of Lamentations 4:17 too. As for our eyes, the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes had yet fell for our vain help. So as you see, we doing all of this stuff, going through all of these little wars and whatnot, all these battles, but the end result was what? No credit, and still in the same position, treated like less than equal.
Yep.
So it's vain help.
When you can go to somebody and say, hey, listen, you need to uproot from what you know and everything you love and go fight on the front lines. That's called captivity, bro.
Right.
That's slavery.
Right.
Like, there's no other way to paint that than that's the curses that Deuteronomy 28 talks about.
And they say volunteered, but the next line says, in our watching we have watched for a nation that could not save us. So we thought that we'd be saved in these situations, not volunteered, you know.
Right.
That's the scripture I was thinking of.
Yeah, you with it. Maybe I'll come back to this in a minute. I want to go to the article on Vieques, all right? So this was the most recent one that I could find. I believe this was 2019. Okay, yeah, July 1, 2019. And of course, it's Al Jazeera that's going to report on it. I couldn't find any American papers reporting on this.
Naturally. Damn. Ishmael had a report on it.
Ishmael had to
Even
report
though
on
America,
it.
I think, owns it.
Probably it's simulcast at least. Puerto Rico's Vieques still reels from decades of U.S. Navy bombing. I'm sorry. So before we read that, just real quick, I'll just read the top part of the wiki where it says United States Navy and Vieques. Let's read that. So it says the Vieques Puerto Rico Naval Training Range was a United States naval facility located on the island of Vieques, about 5 miles east of mainland Puerto Rico. Wow. So that I forgot. It was only 5 miles away. So not only were they experimenting on an island that was only 20 miles long by 4.5 miles wide, the blowback, remember, we're talking about the blowback from the island to the mainland, it was only a 5 mile difference. So all that radiation, all that unexploded ordnance, all those chemicals, all that gunpowder, everything else that goes into that stuff, you know, the winds just carried that over to the mainland. Remember, I said it jokingly last week because there's a thing where they say Ephraim's crazy, right? Puerto Ricans are crazy, right? Like we bugged out. And it's true. I don't deny it. Many of us are really bugged the hell out. And, you know, I know the whole head is sick and everybody's sick. You know, yeah, I appreciate that. I saw comments like that and everything.
Yeah, right.
Right. But Puerto Ricans are particularly known for being a little bugged out.
I mean, look at Tatanka, right?
Right. Tatanka was a freaking nut, right?
White bag nutcase.
He was a white bag nutcase, Tatanka. Anyway, so it was only 5 miles off the mainland. Starting in November 1941, the Navy used the range for military exercises. Military operations ended in 2001, with the Navy completely leaving the area in 2003.
So but that was because of protests and stuff.
Right. They would have still been there to this day. Right. They would have still been there till this day. Let me see what that. Go scroll down. There's a map there. I didn't look at that. I don't know if it shows the any areas. No. Okay. They have some names there. Puerto Diablo, Puerto Fero. I don't know if that is in relation to the fact that that's where they were testing on the island or anything like that. All right, never mind. You don't need to look at the map.
So check this out, right? So that goes with Deuteronomy 3. There shall be no might in thy hands, because they just proved in this article here that we were the best and we destroyed the best.
Yep.
See how the Most High did us because of our rebelliousness?
Yes, sir.
They should have never. It stands to reason. You had one taskmaster, right?
Right.
With hundreds and hundreds of slaves.
Right. That's exactly right. Excuse me. All right, let's go back to the article. All right, just to let you know the Navy was involved there. So it says, Puerto Rico's Vieques still reels from decades of U.S. Navy bombing. Only 1,600 of the 4,000 hectares suspected of having munitions have been surface cleared, the EPA says. So since 2003, they've only cleaned up less than half of what they said they would clean up.
That's so evil, bro.
Vieques, Puerto Rico. At first glance, Vieques appears to be a Caribbean paradise. The small island, located less than 13 kilometers off of mainland Puerto Rico, is home to stunning, undeveloped beaches with shimmering turquoise water. Wild horses roam the tranquil, winding streets. Tourists from all over travel to take glowing nighttime kayak rides in the brightest bioluminescent bay in the world. You know, I used to be fascinated by the bioluminescent bay. It's probably irradiation, and that's why the freaking the plankton are irradiated in there. Mm-hmm. But there was a darker, lesser-known story of Vieques that I explored in my latest episode of AJ Plus Direct From. It involves the legacy of U.S. militarism, which has left much of the island contaminated and its residents sick. See, this is the part you don't read about in Wiki, right? Even Dennis doesn't go too much into it in the book, right? From the 1940s until 2003, the U.S. Navy used Vieques as a training ground for war, pummeling the island with bombs as it conducted military training operations. For decades, munitions, including 900-kilogram bombs, were fired from ships, jets, helicopters, and tanks, all while the island's civilian population of roughly 9,000 lived just a few kilometers away. This is the part where Cap was like, bro, that don't make no sense. They're like right next door. The Navy has admitted to using napalm, depleted uranium. Right, remember, I told you that you hear munitions, you hear ordnance, and you just think regular bombs.
Yep.
I'm telling you, there was a radiation there. napalm, depleted uranium, and a host of other toxic chemicals and heavy metals on the island. And while its training officially ended in 2003, the fallout from its six-decade presence is far from over.
Hey, isn't uranium used to make nuclear missiles?
Yes, that's exactly what it's used for. Sorry, I thought you were going to say more. I said, this is the time for me to take a sip of my tea. Talk, Lava. Right. So it says, toxic area. What was once a Navy range is now a federal wildlife refuge. Ironically, it is simultaneously a Superfund site, a toxic area identified for cleanup by the government. Much of the wildlife refuge remains off limits because of remaining unexploded ordnance. There are signs everywhere warning visitors not to stray off the permitted path due to the risk of stepping on an explosive.
That's crazy, man. That don't even make no doggone sense, man.
So far, only about 1,600 of the 4,000 hectares, 4,000 of the 10,000 acres suspected of having munitions have been surface cleared, according to EPA Representative Daniel Rodriguez, who is overseeing the cleanup. That does not include what remains underground and in the water. That's the stuff that's making us crazy and sick.
Yeah,
All right?
especially if they're eating the lobster, the crab that's all in that thing. So they're getting sin upon sin, boy.
Yep. The Navy anticipates the cleanup will take another 10 years on land and 15 to 20 years underwater. And that's just them giving a number. They probably never going to clean that thing up.
Hell no.
The hell with us. The method of the cleanup is another source of contention. The Navy is employing a technique called open detonation, essentially getting rid of old bombs by blowing them up. So they're still blowing up bombs on the island. Remember, this article was in July 1st of 2019. It was not that long ago. Although they say the method is safe to the public's health, locals insist otherwise. Mirna Pagan, a longtime Vieques resident who survived uterine cancer, I wonder how she got that, but lost her husband 5 years ago to a total metastasized cancer. I wonder how he got that. Told me that her husband's problem with the heavy metals was arsenic and uranium. And here's the problem with that stuff. If they're growing food in the ground, if they're doing rice or they're cultivating things like that, it's going to be in the food. Yep. And you wind up eating that over the years, and then you wind up getting all that irradiation. Look at one of the signs. Explosive hazard. No access beyond this point. So you literally see these signs all over the island. Pagan said she also has an issue with uranium. Everybody in my family that was tested for heavy metals came positive at high levels. They literally have uranium in their blood, circulating in their blood. All right? Such health issues are not unique for the people of Vieques. Cancer rates among residents are disproportionately higher than the rest of Puerto Rico. So it would make sense, right, where it's concentrated, they would have higher cancer rates, but letting you know that the rest of the island suffers from it as well.
But then their kids and their kids and their kids, because that's in their bloodstream.
Exactly. Yep. So you got something?
Yeah, it reminds me of Deuteronomy 28 and 18 says, "Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep." So for people that's saying Hispanics don't fit the curses, this is good history, because literally, like, you going into the bloodstream, changing and whatnot, and affecting generationally.
Yep. Hey, and there's list after list after list of the atrocities committed against, and it's not just Puerto Rico. They've done similar things in Cuba. They've done similar things in Dominican Republic, and basically anywhere where Israel is. And that's their MO, right? And it's not just to Northern Kingdom that they do this. They've done this to both tribes. Look at the Tuskegee experiment.
Yep. Well, the Clintons admitted that they, under the husband, Guatemala, they were sterilizing them.
Yes.
Not too long ago that came out.
That's one of their favorite things to do to us.
Because it was the favorite thing to do with all the heathen against us.
Right.
Because they know that we're fruitful. And that the commandment is to be fruitful and multiply. So it's in our spirit to have a lot of children. That's what they can't believe. That's why, dude, man, that's crazy.
Hey, and it's not just sterilizing the women. They have this fetish to try to mutilate the men's genitals. Yep. They have like penis envy of Israelite men. It's the truth. I know Bishop says it sometimes, and people laugh, and they're like, ha, it's the truth.
Yeah, they envied Alcapurria.
The Alcapurria. If you know, you know.
This guy's all laughing. This guy's all cracking up laughing.
He's like, I don't know, but I think I know it. It's funny.
But that's heavy, though, because they seeing, specifically the Ephraim, they seeing y'all win all these battles up against their best soldiers and all that. You think?
Oh, that probably made them hate us worse.
Oh yeah, we're gonna free y'all for sure.
Yeah.
No.
Bro, even in like their training activities, right? At that time, there was already signs up in the States that said no dogs, no Puerto Ricans, no Mexicans, right? So that hatred was already there.
Right.
You think that they went there as a training exercise and didn't execute real judgment on so-called Puerto Ricans, bro?
Hey,
Come
but
on.
if they're patriots, they should accept us, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Right.
No, and I'd like to see them say that was then. That was such a long time ago. No, that wasn't a long time ago.
No,
2019.
Your daddy or your granddaddy was complicit in some of this. So try to say, well, my forefathers weren't around for some
you
of
know
that.
why that's true? Because our grandparents
were
complicit. Well, not complicit. Were treated.
Right. They were treated that way.
Your mom was a Hittite.
Yeah. So it says getting basic health services is a challenge as the island has long lacked adequate health infrastructure, including specialized doctors. This means sick residents are forced to take a ferry to the main island to get treatment. To make matters worse, flooding from Hurricane Maria shuttered Vieques' main hospital in 2017. So they have no hospital because of what happened after the hurricane. The people of Vieques accuse both the federal government and their local government of long-standing neglect, describing their small island as a colony of the colony of Puerto Rico. Right? Letting you know that if you think it's bad on the Puerto Rican mainland, it's even worse when it comes to Vieques. In the latest series from Direct Forum, I ask, is the U.S. Navy going to, about the cleanup in the safest way possible? And I didn't see the rest of her. I don't know if that's a video. It says it's an episode. Let me click on that real quick. Yeah, so she has, it's like a little 12-minute video that she has on there. We're not going to watch the whole thing. Maybe we'll do it as a follow-up a little bit. Let me see if there's anything noteworthy in there. Maybe run it a little bit. Let's see. Put up the disclaimer. All right.
This is the island of Vieques, which is in Puerto Rico. But what you can't see are the thousands of active explosives left behind here by the U.S. Navy. That's because for decades, the Navy trained for war by bombing this island. And the way they're going about cleaning up their toxic mess is actually hurting the locals and the environment.
Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, which means residents here are American citizens. But as a small island off the main island, Vieques has suffered years of neglect. And now, with no main hospital after Hurricane Maria and little economic opportunity, many are leaving. At the same time, wealthy Americans from the mainland are buying up prime real estate.
This house is listed for $4.5 million.
What? Wow.
Yeah. And it's worth every penny.
Even though
Pause that.
Even he can't believe it. The way he
Pause
said it.
that.
You saw that?
You know that house is not for anybody on that damn island at $4.5 million.
Right.
Holy crap. $4.5 million.
No, but look at the contrast. $4.5 million. That means Esau or heathens buying that, and look, they're leaving.
Yep. Right, and that's what's happened. They created an environment whereby we leave. That goes into the harvest of empire. They always complain about all the migration. Why you guys come here if your country's so great?
Where the hell we gonna go?
You
we
guys
tried to live on an island,
right.
and you couldn't even keep us there.
You guys shitted on our island. So what the hell? Part of my language. So what is there for us?
Hey, we're mad far away. It's the furthest island Puerto Rico is from the Americas. Why don't you leave us the hell alone?
Yeah, right.
But now, because Obadiah says that they don't even leave, that the thief even leaves some stuff.
Yep. Right. Even a thief would leave a little something behind. Yep. They take it all up. Go ahead. Keep playing.
They could have left us where the hell we were at.
Keep playing.
It's not in the spirit.
At the same time, wealthy Americans from the mainland are buying up prime real estate.
This house is listed for $4.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's worth every penny.
Even though parts of the island are still off limits.
Yeah, I don't want to go over there and get blown up.
Nobody wants to go over there and get blown up, that's for sure.
This peaceful trail I'm on is where the Navy trained for war and dropped hundreds of thousands of bombs for years. Today, it's a national wildlife refuge, which is ironic because it's simultaneously a Superfund site full of toxic munitions that are still littered all over the land and sea. And
whenever they say Superfund, right, you saw it says it equals hazardous. Superfund sites is cold talk for them for places that are contaminated that they got to clean up.
Yep.
Right.
And they're sticking animals there?
They're saying it's a wildlife refuge, yeah. Animals probably got cancer too.
They're putting animals there that way they can detonate those bombs.
Right. They want them to run around and they figure they'll step on some of that.
Because you know they are.
Hey, you know what? That's heavy. This is why, again, Romans 8:19. That's a heavy point you brought out.
Same thing.
That's a Romans. Oh, were you?
Yes, sir.
Yo, you in the spurt?
Yes, sir.
You in the spurt.
You in the spurt.
You in the spurt.
Let me get to it, though. Romans 8:19. Book of Romans, chapter 8.
Hey, so listen, Captain MRI said they're putting the animals there in a wildlife refuge because they want them. I don't even see myself right now. Is that working? I see my hand. Okay, all right. He says they're putting them. MRI said they're putting animals there so that they can go ahead and so that basically let the animal run over the exploded ordnance.
That's why it's taking so long.
Right.
That's why it's taking them so damn long.
That's
bro.
their strategy. That's their strategy.
Hey,
for
we're
the
cleaning
damn
it
thing.
up, but it's gonna take a little longer.
Right.
We don't have enough giraffes.
Bro. Even the animals get no rest with them. Listen what the scriptures say.
The book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 19. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God.
It says the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. Why? Because they're also being jacked up.
Hey.
Listen, the whole wildlife refuge is a contaminated waste.
And you know what? You know what's wild, man? Animals have a spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know, unlike us, that we fall asleep because we know that because Isaiah 1:3 says that the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. That means they're even smarter than us. So they're looking at all of this, and this ain't right here. They're saying,
right?
They're walking every day in that thing, and they know. You know when there's a certain area that you can't go. Animals know that stuff.
It's just the same little paw tracks everywhere, right?
Yep.
Right. They know something ain't right.
And then when it stops, because they sniff, they're like,
Nope.
They're like, nah, we ain't jumping in here. Go ahead, read on though, right?
Verse 20. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly.
Right, meaning vanity's meaning Esau, right? Because Esau's just here to be destroyed, right? And to serve some servitude. So it says the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, right? Meaning even they have to be in subjection to that vanity. Come on.
But by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope.
Right, by reason of the Most High, right? So the Most High set it up that way because guess what? The same are subject to hope, meaning the animals and the earth. Remember, there's another scripture that says the whole earth will be refreshed.
That's right.
When Christ returns and puts us back in rulership. Read on.
Because the creature itself also shall be delivered.
Because the creation itself is in captivity and in subjection. Look at that beautiful island that was on that screen, and that thing is poisoned.
Hey, there's spirits in those plants too. That's why they grow. There's life in them. So even they're like. That's why it says the earnest manifest of the fir trees are even going to be happy.
Yes, the trees will rejoice. No fella comes up against us anymore, right? Go ahead, read.
Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption.
Because this place is polluted, literally and spiritually, all right? It says the creature itself is going to be delivered from the bondage of corruption. Come on.
Into the glorious liberty of the children of God.
That's when the Superfund sites will be clean. When the children of God are in power. Come on.
For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now.
And the whole creation also. You think it's just us? Nope. You know when you go to the zoo, right? And you see the animal and they just look at you like they all depressed and stuff.
They go, please.
Right, exactly. They looking at you, they're like, yo, keep the laws.
Get it together, B.
Please. Can you wake up to your identity, please?
Bro, that's 6 decades of bombings. Just imagine how beautiful that place was before.
Right.
And it's all jacked up with the bombings
and
stuff.
homeboy don't care because he's going to make 3% on that 4.5 million.
You know what I'm saying?
He good.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. 4.5 million. Bro, he must have bought that thing for like $100,000 and kicked out the family that's there. And then spent another 100 on cheap labor to build that thing up.
Easily profit. I mean, that's profit.
Get all his groceries imported to him. That way he's not eating all that.
He's right on the ocean, so the boat just docks there and brings his stuff in.
Man. Crazy because you're going to import groceries to the kingdom.
Go ahead.
You got Central Aid and everything.
Go ahead. Play it. That thing is beautiful.
Wealthy Americans from the mainland are buying up prime real estate.
This house is listed for $4.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's worth every penny.
Even though parts of the island are still off limits.
Yeah, I don't want to go over there and get blown up.
Nobody wants to go over there and get blown up, that's for sure.
And he's with the EPA. He's saying.
Yeah, that's the guy that's like in charge of it.
This peaceful trail I'm on is where the Navy trained for war and dropped hundreds of thousands of bombs for years. Today, it's a national wildlife refuge, which is ironic because it's simultaneously a Superfund site full of toxic munitions that are still littered all over the land and sea. And I've actually seen signs like this that say explosive hazard everywhere.
So stop. Notice she said it's ironic, right? Because it's a wildlife refuge and it's a Superfund site. That's what we just read in Romans 8. That's the irony in that.
You know what the irony in is? That it says hazardous, but they got a hiker on the sign.
Right.
all like mad, worn out and stuff too.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness, bro. Evil.
Until 2003, this refuge was a U.S. Navy range where the military trained for conflicts like World War II, the Vietnam War, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. The land, which makes up one half of the island, is now one of the most hazardous waste sites in the U.S. The Navy's been cleaning up the remnants of their war games by blowing up old bombs, a process called open detonation, which they insist is safe. But some residents are concerned about the health effects from the chemicals released by each new explosion.
What type of munitions are we talking about exactly that the Navy left behind here?
They have basically used everything but the kitchen sink.
This is Daniel Rodriguez. He's the EPA's point person in Vieques. The EPA's overseeing the cleanup.
You can find large munitions, like 2,000-pound bombs, and munitions as small as 20 millimeters. So you had all kind of training activities here for mortars, drop from planes, shoot from boats. These are munitions that were not disposed on the ground, they were fire, and they didn't function.
The Navy has admitted to using toxic chemicals in Vieques, including napalm and depleted uranium. The EPA lists over a dozen contaminants on the island.
I think that we happen to be collateral damage to the military agenda and to the federal government agenda.
Mirna and Ismail are local activists who spent decades trying to kick out the Navy. Now they're fighting for their lives.
I am a cancer survivor. However, in my family, my husband passed away. That was a total metastasized cancer. And his problem then with the heavy metals was arsenic and uranium. And I had uranium also.
These are your medical records from 2000 when the Navy was still here, and your hair sample showed levels of mercury.
Yeah.
What do you think that was from?
From the Navy.
Ismail was one of over 200 residents who were tested for mercury, aluminum, cadmium, lead, and arsenic exposure, all present in high explosives. Except for arsenic, 33% of those tested had higher levels than the EPA considers safe.
We have no industry here, so where could all the contamination come from? I believe
that's a good point. You hear what she said? There's no industry there. So the only place that all that contamination came from was for them using it as a site for bombs, was for them using it to explode things in there.
So she's saying that means that they try to use that excuse.
They try to use that excuse and say this is naturally occurring stuff, so on and so forth. That's not it. That's not it. Go ahead, go on.
Hey, those rose bushes, that don't look like normal healthy rose bushes.
It's like a little shop.
Yeah, it looks sad as hell.
Do most of the people here believe that it's because of the military practices, the bombing, and the fact that they were experimenting here with non-conventional weapons?
The rates of cancer in Vieques are higher than the rest of Puerto Rico, historically up to 27%, though it's hard to track today since so many people have left the island. And to get treatment, patients have to travel on an unreliable ferry to the main island. Ismail makes that trip regularly for dialysis.
Para yo ir a atenderme, me tengo que ir hoy a las 3 de la tarde. En estos días no hay mucha garantía. En estos días muchos enfermos no rehúsan moverse de Vieques y prefieren cancelar sus quimioterapias, sus radioterapias, sus tratamientos, porque no se atreven a aventurarse a viajar, porque de allá viene un gentío y no se nos garantiza a nosotros el poder regresar. Yo recuerdo las bombas nos pasaban por encima, los cañones nos pasaban por encima.
You've saved all of these memories from your fight against the Navy.
We stopped amphibious landing. We stopped amphibious landing.
Whoa.
One incident in particular ignited a movement. In 1999, a Marine fighter jet accidentally dropped 2 500-pound bombs on a Navy observation post, killing a local security guard and wounding 4 others. In response, protesters occupied the Navy base, stopping them from conducting exercises for an entire year.
Aquí hubo multiplicidad de apoyo a nivel mundial, no solamente en Puerto Rico ni en Estados Unidos. Stop the bombing.
Until the military forcibly cleared
Jesse came out.
Oh, God.
He never missed a good opportunity to get some shame, right? Jesse showed up.
They let the jets loose.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know about that. Goodness gracious. Go ahead. Keep rolling it. This is good stuff. This is good stuff.
Stop the bomb.
It gives you good visuals. Go ahead.
I didn't know I'm here.
Encampments in 2000. President George W. Bush ordered the Navy to leave by 2003. This was supposed to initiate a cleanup process, but 16 years later, locals say the cleanup hasn't been transparent or efficient.
How much has the Navy cleaned up and how much is left?
The Navy has surface clear, a little bit over 4,000 acres.
4,000 out of 10,000?
Out of 10,000. Surface clear.
So that doesn't even include what's underground and what's in the water?
That doesn't include what's underground.
So there's a long way to go before this place gets cleaned up?
There is some more to go, exactly.
When will they finish?
That dates varies from time to time. There are numbers being tossed around that could be taken to 2030.
Why is it taking so long?
It's a very risky type of cleanup. When you're dealing with munitions, you can't go that fast.
What grade would you give the Navy so far?
They're doing a good job.
A?
They're doing a good job.
Hardly.
Hey.
That was the political answer.
No. He works for the EPA.
Yeah, right.
So you could see it in his face.
Right.
She said, A, they're doing a good job. Bro, that told me everything I need to know right there. He's saying that so he don't lose his job.
Yeah,
so they don't say like, hey, this is what's going on.
No yay or nay there.
Right. They lose his shit. So would you say an A? She asked him twice. He said, they're doing a good job.
He looks depressed.
Yep. Go ahead.
Any independent studies have been carried out to examine the military's impact on the public's health. The Navy consistently points to one controversial government study that concluded there's no negative impact, but multiple scientists, researchers, and locals have seriously questioned the findings.
Cancer is very prevalent in here.
This is Dr. Pagan. She's one of the only general physicians in Vieques. I asked her why people here are more likely to develop cancer than those on the main island.
There must be some carcinogenic higher than the rest of the island.
Why?
Here in Vieques. Oh, because of the bombing.
So if you live in Vieques, there's a higher chance that you have cancer. If you have cancer, you cannot get treatment here, and you have to go to the main island, and going to the main island in and of itself is a big hardship. That feels like a hopeless situation.
Yes, that's why most of them move. They find another place to live.
Meanwhile,
And when
wealthy
they move,
Americans from the
you get that prime real estate that they get for dirt cheap or free even, and then they're parceling it out for $4.5 million.
I just read an article a few weeks ago that as a result of Hurricane Maria, now people are investing back in the island.
Yeah, I did see something about that too. Yep.
Bro, if there's any people that's due reparations, bro, come on, really?
Right.
Right. And they can't even
Like, for real, bro, like, seriously.
They can't even have the courtesy to like freaking clean up. And mind you, he says surface cleared, meaning the stuff that's deep
just
down
one tribe.
below.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, and that's just one tribe, exactly. Go ahead.
the mainland are finding their second homes in Vieques.
You get this nice eastern view into Isabel Segunda, the lighthouse, and Culebra.
This is Tom. He moved here from Idaho nearly 20 years ago.
Oh, that's his house.
Today, he's one of the most successful real estate developers on the island, selling homes like
he's
these.
one of the ones that took advantage.
This house is listed for $4.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's worth every penny. It's the type of place where you can be completely private. You're behind walls. You're on one of the most prominent locations in Vieques, right on the ocean front, on the cliffs. It's a spectacular setting.
Who are your typical customers for the places you sell?
Well, I always think of my customer base as people who are searching for second homes or successful people. So I get a large percentage of doctors, for example, and lawyers, professional people.
Tom says his clients never ask about contamination from the Superfund site. He also says real estate sales have rebounded after Hurricane Maria.
So what's like your pitch to someone who has a good amount of money from the U.S. mainland who's like, I'm thinking of buying a house on Vieques?
I like to show that I put my money where my mouth is, that I've invested. I like to talk about taxes, which are very low here.
Stop. The reason, and we're going to bring it out next week. We're not going to have time because of the delay today to talk about it. That was one of the tactics that got people to leave, and it drove investors in. They gave tax benefits. They passed specific laws. We're going to talk about it next week that put them in a position whereby businesses were incentivized to come to Puerto Rico and invest. And they always do stuff like that. And not invest for the people of Puerto Rico, but invest basically for themselves, for their cohorts, for their cronyism.
Wait, but we own stores.
Yeah.
Right. But those tax benefits are not for us. It benefits the people that can afford those houses and things like that. Come on. Go ahead.
Just a fraction of what you would pay for a similar home in the States.
How do you respond to skeptics who would accuse people like you of gentrifying Vieques?
And I guess we are doing some gentrifying, but I really tend to focus on the positive things that we're doing.
He didn't even deny it. Yeah, we are doing some gentrifying, but I focus on the positives. But for who? For your own people.
Your money.
Yeah,
for your own people.
It is technically that, but we also read Judith 5:20, so it is what it is. It is what it is.
Right.
Y'all should have kept the commandments.
Exactly.
Yep.
Get commandments and live, guys.
Would accuse people like you of gentrifying Vieques?
And I guess we are doing some gentrifying, but I really tend to focus on the positive things that we're doing for the community. Education is getting better. Animals are getting treated better. We are a part of the community. We're giving back, and I feel like I'm Viequense.
Stop.
But other residents?
So animals are getting treated better, but he mentioned nothing about people. Right. And you know, that's how freaking Esau is, bro.
Yeah, with that Peter shit.
They got more freaking love for freaking dogs and cats and lizards and rabbits and stuff like that.
They do.
Than they do if you're an Israelite.
Right.
If you're an Israelite.
Peter.
How was education getting better?
Bro, people are leaving the island. Bro, we just saw the couple that said people don't want to even go to get treatment. How are things better for them? Man, you have Esau spin it, bro. They will spin it.
Because they come in there and mess with
They
it.
will spin it.
right?
They will spin it.
Wasn't there like
What was that?
Wasn't there like an issue with the colleges not so long ago? There was like a riot because of the colleges were.
We were there when that happened. They were occupying the campus. We went and we interviewed them there.
They barricaded that.
They was barricaded and everything. They let us in and we did an interview in there. They were not funding the schools. They were not funding the colleges. Yep. Education's getting better. Get out of here. What does he mean on Vieques? The one school that's on the island, probably. Get out of here with that. Go ahead.
See things differently.
Sobre Vieques a 20 años de la muerte de David Sanes. Odina, good morning.
Good morning. Buenos días.
Buenos días. ¿Habla español?
Un poquito.
Excelente.
This is Robert Rabin. He was arrested 5 times for protesting the Navy. He now directs the Vieques Historical Archives and hosts a radio show.
Gentrification now is more a danger to the very existence of
pause that for
the
a second.
culture.
Hey, Gideon, since I'm going to be out there in April, I know you say you're watching. See if we could get on that show with this guy. That might be a good thing to talk about the island and bring out the curses.
But
you from Albert Einstein?
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Rabin, he may be Amalek.
Alberto Einstein. Yeah.
Let's bring it out. Maybe we get some opportunity. Hey, let him take us off the air.
You know,
it's all right. Look into that. All right. Go ahead.
This is Robert Rabin. He was arrested 5 times for protesting the Navy. He now directs the Vieques Historical Archives and hosts a radio show.
Gentrification now is more a danger to the very existence of the culture and community of Vieques as we know it.
So you believe that after Hurricane Maria, there's been more gentrification?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because people tend to leave. People in Puerto Rico, hundreds of thousands of people have left Puerto Rico to go to the United States. That means they're selling their property cheap, and the same is happening here. People are looking for other alternatives, and so they're, the realtors, speculators, investors, all part of the dynamics of gentrification, are taking advantage of the post-Maria situation.
Robert says the Navy cleanup is yet another example of locals being excluded from economic opportunities.
We had hoped that in the cleanup process would really mean a lot of economic benefit for the community, but of the hundreds of millions of dollars that the federal government has spent on cleanup so far, the greatest amount of that is going to large U.S. corporations that are in control of the process.
The Navy didn't want to talk on camera. In an email, they defended open detonation as the safest process for the site workers handling the munitions, and said the explosions pose no health risks to the public. I wanted to hear what Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló had to say about this.
I am very much committed to Vieques, and I recognize all of the challenges that they have in the past.
Do you believe that the EPA...
Like even so, they started with Edomite governors, and then I think Luis Muñoz Marin was the first Puerto Rican governor. But we haven't delved into him too much. But he was a sellout. He was there for their agenda.
This guy's a puppet. He's the one that was caught up with the whole war. How come they didn't get their supplies and the whole thing, man? He was Trump's a puppet.
Yep. So they vote all these governors that sit in Puerto Rico. They have to swing the company back, you know what I'm saying, and say the company line, and if not, they don't get elected. So that's another thing where they think about that. But this guy's on the damn payroll with them too. Go ahead.
I'm gonna change it.
I wanted to hear what Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló had to say about this.
I am very much committed to Vieques, and I recognize all of the challenges that they have in the past.
Do you believe that the EPA and the Navy have gone about the cleanup of the contamination in the safest way possible to the citizens there?
It is, again, inherent in this colonial conversation that we've had. If we've had 2 senators and 5 House representatives, which would be the case for Puerto Rico, you would have oversight hearings. You would have, a hammer in Washington to make sure that some of these things move forward. Unfortunately, we don't, whether it be, access to clean water, whether it'll be the poverty levels, but we're always going to be at a disadvantage relative to the states.
On our last day in Vieques, the Navy conducted another open detonation. A fisherman caught the explosions on camera from his boat.
Still exploding bombs.
For those in Vieques who dedicated their lives to reclaiming their land, the fight is far from over.
Nuestras 4 demandas eran de militarización, de contaminación, devolución y desarrollo de Vieques.
And how many of those have been met so far? None.
0.
Ya Mirna te contestó, ninguna.
Yeah, no.
Hey guys, it's Dina here in Vieques.
All right, so someone said the dude is Alberto Einstein.
Alberto Einstein.
Alberto Einstein.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Ricardo said
Joke
Gideon said Rossello is pro-American. He's definitely pro-American.
I know he is, man.
But all those governors are, man.
Hey,
he's a puppet, bro.
Hey, Gideon, see if that gentleman will hop on a ferry and come to the mainland of Puerto Rico.
See if we'll come to Arizona.
They don't. The captain doesn't want me to go and get irradiated on Vieques.
I'm
he
saying,
doesn't want
bro,
me to go.
I'm saying, bro.
He said, spare me from getting irradiated on Vieques, man.
Bro, those 2 old people, right, that said that there was a goose egg for what they wanted. What a terrible life to live, bro. That they went through all those things and they're gonna die with none of those things being
They're
met.
gonna die with everything still contaminated, still militarized, and everything.
Yep, all jacked up. You got something else? You cooking with gas today, bro? Go ahead.
It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 5, verse 1. Remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. So you see the shame of the so-called Puerto Ricans, the trials they're going through. It says our inheritance is turned to strangers. So then you saw the Edomite that came through with the house gentrifying everything, and you see all the test bombs going off and stuff. Yep. This is like the last scripture we read in Deuteronomy 28. This is like a magnifying glass on it, like going deeper into it.
Yep.
This Bible's a true book, man.
You're in the spirit with that. I was actually gonna bring that out later when we went into Denizens and stuff. Well, not later because now it's gonna be next show because we started so late, so I can't go into it.
The Power Hour. What?
Yeah. We did the Power Hour today. It wasn't the Power Hour Plus, but at least we got to get on air a little bit. You know, right. I'm gonna cut it there. I had more stuff. I had a lot more scriptures that I wanted to go through once I got to the more of the agenda and how they did and moved with certain things. But Vieques was supposed to be for last week and, finishing it up. But
that was a good clip, too.
Oh, somebody said you have a nice radio voice.
All praises.
Yeah. Look at that. Ooh.
Is there someone that said that happened to be a single sister?
I don't know. If it is a single sister, this is a single brother with a nice radio voice.
Hey, Gideon said that people are even starving. I think he meant starving in Vieques.
And then it goes into Lamentation on 5 and 4. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold onto us. Water is a natural resource, right? They just said that the water is polluted and all of that stuff too. So
so now they're selling it back to you under us that it's osmosis.
Right. And you know what? In this gentrification thing, watch what's going to wind up happening. You already see the shades of it now. Esau's not dumb. They're looking at it as saying, well, listen, most of the radiation already happened there, right? We're here, so on and so forth. So they're like, we can probably slowly move in as they move out and not have to worry about any of that stuff. And that's when the Navy will kick it up and say, okay, yeah, no, we're actively
Oh, that's
cleaning
exactly
it up.
when it's going to happen, man, because you're going to have all those, all of their people. Absolutely.
Yep. So, anyway, that's the edition of the show this week. It wasn't the normal 2 hours of power that normally comes out, but all praises, we got the sound fixed. Lord's will, it's fixed for Saturday and for next week, right? When we go over Denizens and the illusion of inclusion, and we're gonna take a different spin on the Denizens and show you how the citizens of Puerto Rico became denizens in their own land. All right. And we'll talk about that a little more, Lord's will. All right. So make sure that you tune in for the Saturday show. We do that at 11 a.m. All right. Arizona time, 11 a.m. Arizona time. And then next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Arizona time. All right. And 10 p.m. Eastern. Lord's will be on. No hitches, no problems. Pray for the producer, Israel. Pray for the producer. Pray for our technology.
Pray to keep us in the spirit, too.
Pray to keep us in the spirit. You know what? No, the brother does work hard.
That's right.
But it's very aggravating when you're ready and you're in the spirit. Or even worse, when you're already started and then you got to shut it down and do that stuff. It
does take you out the spirit.
Yeah, it gets you upset. So pray for all of us, all right?
We all need healing.
Right. I pray you enjoyed the show. Lord's will next week. Hey, I wanted to solicit calls today and all that stuff. But we just didn't have time. I pray you got some understanding with the history. Lord's will, we'll have some more stuff to go over, like I said. So we pretty much just focus on Vieques today. Next week, Lord's will, we'll get into Denizens and the illusion of inclusion on the island of Puerto Rico, all right? So thank you for tuning in. We thank you for your continued support. Continue to like and share. Subscribe to our YouTube page as well, all right? We're trying to grow the base there. Our people need to see their people bringing it out, right? They need to see the different.
That's right.
They need to see the different tribes teaching to understand that, you know, we're moving forward on the clock, right? Let's get into that 11th hour. Let's move it forward if it be the Lord's will, all right? So with that, we say shalom. Shalom.
Lego. Israel is back. We back. Israel is back. We got the nations running scared because Israel is back. All lies on us because we keeping them laws. When the Lord will return, Babylon will fall. Precept solid. We got them on lock. God's chosen people with Christ as our rock. Israel is back. We back. Israel is back. We back. You heathen, get ready for our whip to crack.